And finally, I understand, Julia, you are here as a visiting fellow in MoLab, but you're very using good, making good use of your time here, and you also participate in a few quite experimental artistic projects in this region, which is also to some extent related to mobility of people and animals, especially. Can you tell us something about that? Is there anything we as social researchers can learn from artists and from activists?
Yeah, so I've always been really interested in being a part of creative projects or being quite explicitly involved with people who are a part of activist struggles. And so when I came to Berlin, thinking about this new research project and just getting in my head different theoretical framings that I might be applying, I heard about a multi-species project that was taking place as an arts collective in Berlin had been facilitating a project called Organisms Democracy. And as part of this, they're really thinking through a multi-species perspective in terms of articulating rights and articulating who it is or what might be seen as invasive, what might not be seen as invasive when it comes to plants and people. So they've done this in a number of different regions, and they have a small space in Berlin, quite near to Wedding, where they have mapped out as many organisms as they can. And these various plants, animals, are then represented by people. And once every couple months, they have what they term parliamentary meetings, where they have a computer-generated system that then decides on 15 particular organisms, where the rights and voices of those organisms will be voiced by humans. And so I took part in this. I represented a small glass snail.
Okay.
And we had various agenda items that were put forwards. It was everything to do with the proposed cutting back of one particular ash tree in the garden, and what different organisms would think about that. So for some ferns at the base of the tree, this might not be a great thing for them if they actually require that shaded covering. That might then have a ricocheted impact on the snail too. But then for others, the increased sunlight might actually be very helpful to them. We also had different agenda items too. Bacteria are represented. So there's been an issue around the throwing of litter into the garden space. What do various organisms think about that? For some, like some of the bacteria, they actually quite like, depending on what the litter is, what's being thrown over. There's also an asylum clause in the Organisms Democracy Constitution, and you can introduce various species into the garden, and they'll then be protected within the reserve. So someone was putting forward that this one particular bacteria should be introduced because it actually biodegrades a lot of the litter that's thrown over. So it's a very interesting way of thinking about the rights and articulating the rights of people, plants, animals in this kind of way.
No, that's really interesting. I mean, again, I'm thinking the idea, as you mentioned, is invasion, right? So and the nature, probably invasion is, so-called invasion is just the natural cause of things, because different species do interpenetrate, right? And then they really become, this is how they coexist. So, I mean, I would be very interested in following this project and see what kind of idea may emerge from there. And therefore, I'm still thinking as empirical researchers, how we can borrow some very innovative ideas from this type of exercise, and then what kind of tools or data that we can provide to them to make their dialogue more robust. So that would be that is a kind of a line that we our department, at least the MoLab, wanted to experiment with as well, working with artists, as you said, and activists, and to learn each other. But yet we needed to explore the specific method, how we work together.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Julia.
Thank you, Biao.